This is my Ring of Honor Final Battle 2009 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view just went off, and this is a very, very good pay-per-view from Ring of Honor that aired on GoFightLive.tv. Definitely well worth the $15. If any of you viewing this missed the show, I would recommend you to go out your way, pay for this pay-per-view. It's only $15. If you waste $30, $40 on some WWE and TNA pay-per-views, definitely well worth supporting a wrestling company that actually puts on a great pay-per-view. Now, this was a fairly long pay-per-view. That might be one. Some people might have said this pay-per-view went way too long, because this pay-per-view started at 7:30. That's when it started, and it didn't end until about probably 11:51, 11:50, roughly around that time, mainly due to the main event. But this was a very good pay-per-view. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good surprises, some returns on here, some reunions, and a great overall main event of this pay-per-view. Now, some people might dislike the way the main event was booked in some capacities, but still was a good main event, and some people might have rather had a different outcome to it than what it ended up having. Now, the pay-per-view started off at first, and the ring announcers came out there. It was Dave Prazak and Erick Santamaria. They were the two main commentators. And then you saw Larry Sweeney make his return to Ring of Honor. He was on commentary as well. Now, the only thing you could actually have a problem with this pay-per-view is the audio levels from the commentators, and sometimes during the crowd as well, because that was really the only issue with this pay-per-view. Because as far as production, as far as video goes, you didn't really miss that many. You really didn't miss any angles. You saw pretty much everything, and the filming was good. Just the one thing they need to work out next when they try this again is make sure the audio of the commentators comes in perfect. Because most of the event, almost the whole entire event, Dave Prazak came in perfect. Erick Santamaria, he came in pretty good. But still, they needed a little work with that. And as far as Larry Sweeney, the unfortunate thing with him, this was his return, and he probably was pretty good on commentary, but you really never heard him at all, really until the main event did he really come in pretty clear. And then when he came in clear during the main event, that's when Dave Prazak's audio kind of fucked up. So that's probably the only real complaint I have with this pay-per-view is the commentators, as far, not the way they were commentating, but just the audio levels. That's the only thing they need to really fix out next time. Other than that, the production was pretty good. I would say it was almost DVD quality as far as the way the streams were for the pay-per-view. So, got to give Ring of Honor credit there, and I got to thank Ring of Honor and Go Fight Live for broadcasting this event, because definitely glad to see, this is the first time they actually air a Ring of Honor pay-per-view live. Now, this isn't on live, TV pay-per-view, but this is pretty close to being on, pay-per-view. I mean, like I said, with this pay-per-view, you probably wouldn't call this actually a pay-per-view. You'll call it an event, or maybe an IPPV, internet pay-per-view. So that was like the only kinks they need to fix out next time when they do this again. Now, the first matchup was a four-corner survival match. It was Claudio Castagnoli versus Rhett Titus versus Kenny Omega versus Colt Cabana. Saw some good comedy with Kenny Omega and Colt Cabana at the beginning of this match. Fairly decent match. Good way to start the show off. They might need to start having a little better openers, but still, this was a solid opener, decent way to start the show off with. And the end of the match comes when Colt Cabana, he has Rhett Titus in the Billy Goat's Curse. He's got him in there. Then Claudio Castagnoli comes in there, and he does a big boot to Colt Cabana. Then he does the German suplex to Rhett Titus and picks up the victory. So but Claudio Castagnoli picks up the victory in the four-corner survival match. I would give it 2.5 stars. Like I said, fairly decent way to start the show off with. Now, the next matchup was the only match of this pay-per-view that was anything terrible. This was a match that really shouldn't have took place on this pay-per-view, and they should have just cut it out on this pay-per-view. They shouldn't even have this take place. Now, what this match was originally going to be, it was going to originally be Delirious and Necro Butcher versus Bison Smith and Erick Stevens, but unfortunately, due to the weather, Necro Butcher couldn't make the show. Now, even if Necro Butcher did make the show, I don't think anyone really cared about this match anyway. Now, what they did with this match at the beginning, for a few minutes, you saw this pretty much be a handicap match, with it being Erick Stevens and Bison Smith versus Delirious. And then at one point you saw Pele come out there. He got in some offense against Erick Stevens and Bison Smith. Then he ended up getting taken out of the match. Then you saw Bobby Dempsey get involved. So then it pretty much turned into Bobby Dempsey and Delirious teaming up to take on Erick Stevens and Bison Smith. And Bison Smith and Erick Stevens pick up the victory after Bison Smith pins Bobby Dempsey after hitting him with a powerbomb in a 1-1 4-star match. Very, very bad match. Shouldn't even took place. And, since you originally, had Necro in this match, and, it was kind of a clusterfuck in a sense, too. Not only was it kind of a bad match, but it was a clusterfuck at the same time. So that was the one match that I would say stay clear of when you, if you order this pay-per-view on Go Fight Live. You can skip this match right here. Don't really even pay attention to it. Then the next matchup was Eddie Kingston versus Chris Hero in a fight without honor match. And this was a very good match, very brutal, good back and forth action between these two. Now, these two have pretty much battled each other in almost every single independent company in the United States, and they have put on some very good matches. Now, I'm not much of a fan of Eddie Kingston that much. I will admit his promo work is great. As far as in the ring, he's decent. I like his feuds. I like his matches and feud he had with Chris Hero and all the companies, IWA Mid-South, and, you've seen it in PWG, saw it in Combat Zone, where pretty much mainly, that's where it started, was Combat Zone. And these two have put on some very good matches against each other. This was a very brutal match between these two. At the beginning of the match, you saw Chris Hero, he had a chain, and he was wrapping it around the neck of Eddie Kingston, trying to choke him out. And the chain was pretty much involved in a lot of the match. And there was a very brutal spot they did in this match where during the match there was one of the guardrails that they have out there. They put that in the ring and placed it in between the middle rope. And then you saw Eddie Kingston and Chris Hero battle at the top of it. And Chris Hero hit a pile driver to Eddie Kingston into it, and that was a very vicious spot right there during this match. And then the end of the match comes where Eddie Kingston, he uses the loaded elbow pad that Chris Hero uses during a lot of his matches. Now, looks like he was just going to put it on his fist, and he was just going to do the back fist with it, but then he put it on his elbow, hit that, and ended up picking the victory. So Eddie Kingston picks up the victory against Chris Hero in this match in a very, very good match. Now, it wasn't, a good technically sound match, but it wasn't supposed to be. It was a fight without honor. It was pretty much supposed to be a brawl, and they delivered right there, and I would give it 3 3/4 stars. Very good match. Then the next matchup was the Young Bucks versus Kevin Steen and El Generico. This was a very good tag match. Saw some good action in this match. The Young Bucks are definitely showing why they are one of the top tag teams in the world going today, and Kevin Steen and El Generico did some good stuff in this match as well. Just enjoyed this match a lot, and the Young Bucks pick up the victory by pinning Kevin Steen during this match. Now it looks like they're going to pick up the victory after hitting the bang for your buck, but Kevin Steen actually kicks out of that. Then they just keep on hitting him with multiple super kick combinations to Kevin Steen, and then they end up taking him out and pinning him, and Young Bucks win this match in a 4 1/4-star match. Very good tag team match right here. Then after the match, Kevin Steen gets on the mic. Pretty much when he grabs the mic, you already know what's going to happen. You know he's going to turn on El Generico. You know it's coming. It's that predictable. But he did do a very good promo before he turned on Eddie Kingston. It was pretty much, he did deliver like a heartfelt promo, kind of like almost like a farewell speech to Ring of Honor. Then at the end, him and El Generico were hugging each other, and then he grabbed the mic again, and then he said to El Generico, "I can't stand your fucking guts," knocked him down, then got a steel chair and took him out. So this is pretty good right here, I would say, because even though I like Kevin Steen and El Generico as a tag team, I think Kevin Steen, I think you could do actually something good with him in the main event of Ring of Honor. Or before you even want to do that, you could have him and El Generico have a feud against each other, which them two have had very good matches against each other in the past. And definitely, even though it was predictable he was going to turn on him, it was still pretty good. It was still a pretty good promo before he turned on him. And pretty much the crowd, I would say, was, it was kind of like when Batista turned on Ray. It was kind of almost the same thing. Some of the crowd was for him, some wasn't. So it was not like they completely, made him out to be a heel, at least, as far as the way the crowd's reaction was. He was kind of, a tweener still after doing that, but still can't wait to see what they go with that next. But then after this match, it was intermission. Now, what they did for the people like me that watched it on GoFightLive.tv and watched the event that way, during intermission, they aired a old Ring of Honor match with CM Punk versus Spanky from the third year anniversary celebration. And I didn't watch the match. I've seen it, before a long time ago, but since I didn't watch it and I haven't seen it in so long, I'm not going to give the match a rating, and it wasn't really a part of the pay-per-view, so it's kind of like, it was just a bonus. It was probably, for people that haven't seen it before, it was probably, they probably enjoyed it. I would say, remembering how the match was, I would say it's probably it was probably, I would say it was a solid match, about probably 3 stars if I, would actually, rate it anything. Then the next matchup was Kenny King versus Roderick Strong, and this was a pick six contenders match, and this was a very good match between these two. Really enjoyed it. Good back and forth action, and Kenny King actually picks up the victory on Roderick Strong in a fairly good match. I would give it about 3 1/4 stars. Then the next matchup was originally going to be Alex Kozlov and Teddy Hart versus Rocky Romero and Jack Evans, and it was going to be an international tag team match. Now, they kind of did a little swerve later on in the evening, but at this moment of the show, either they actually weren't in the building, or say if they made it in the building, they just changed their plans with Jack Evans and Teddy Hart, because at this moment during the pay-per-view, it was said they didn't make it to the show and weren't able to be there, so they turned it into Alex Kozlov versus Rocky Romero. And I've seen these two have better matches in Mexico against each other, but given the situation, given, it was off the fly, and it was pretty much unscripted, they put on a pretty solid match with each other. Just the only thing was the ending came way too quick, and it was like the ending was completely fucked up, because during the ending, Rocky Romero had Alex Kozlov in a Fujiwara armbar, and Rocky Romero picked up the victory, but Alex Kozlov didn't really tap out, and it was kind of like a really fucked up ending. It just came out of nowhere. Not only did it come out of nowhere, it was like the crowd didn't know what to think. And either Rocky Romero and Alex Kozlov seemed a little lost there as well. So it was going to be probably, if they had a good ending, this could have easily been probably 3.5 stars, maybe even a little better if they were given a little more time and actually had a better ending. It could have been a better match. But still, what they did in the ring, I did enjoy, so I give it 3 stars. Then the next matchup was the Briscoes versus the American Wolves for the ROH World Tag Team titles, and this was a very good tag match. This was the better of the 2 tag matches of the evening on this pay-per-view. Really enjoyed the Briscoes versus the American Wolves. Very good stuff. Davey Richards did some great stuff. Eddie Edwards as well. He's really been impressing me this whole entire year. The Briscoes are good, like they always are. One of the best tag teams going today, I would say. Probably my favorite tag team easily is the Briscoes, but as far as right now, which one's more popular, I would say the Young Bucks right now are probably more popular in Ring of Honor, but the Briscoes are always going to be that one team with Ring of Honor that's always going to be popular no matter what they're doing, and the crowd likes them all the time. And this was very good tag team work in this match, and the Briscoes end up picking the victory up after hitting the Springboard Doomsday Device to Eddie Edwards in this match. So the Briscoes win this is their 6th time ever winning the ROH World Tag Team titles, and I'm thinking that with this, maybe they're going to have Eddie Edwards take a little time off, heal from his injuries, and at the same time elevate Davey Richards to the main event, because I think a lot of people, including me, will agree that Davey Richards is definitely worthy of being in the main event in Ring of Honor sometime next year. I wouldn't mind to see him being the next Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. Then that match, as far as Briscoes versus American Wolves, I get 4.5 stars. Very good match. Then after this, Claudio comes to the ring, and then Chris Hero attacks the Briscoes from behind. So saw a little reunion of Chris Hero and Claudio Castagnoli. Kings of Wrestling, so they're back together with each other. So that could be a very good feud. The Briscoes versus the Kings of Wrestling. They put on very good matches back in 2006, and glad to see Claudio Castagnoli and Chris Hero back teaming up against each other. Can't wait to see their first match back as a team with each other. I think this is the best thing to do right now because I don't think Chris Hero is worthy of being in the main event or being worthy of being an ROH World Champion. And Claudio Castagnoli, you're really not doing anything with him, and this is the best thing you can do with him. Then after this, the lights go out, and it looks like, this is going to be the main event coming up. But no, a big surprise right here. Jack Evans, Teddy Hart, and Julius Smokes come in the ring, and this pretty much, Jack Evans gets on the mic, cuts a little promo, and says he wants him and Teddy Hart to pretty much showcase themselves and prove how good they are. And these two went back and forth with each other in a match with Jack Evans versus Teddy Hart for about 8 to 10 minutes. And, sure, this was, a spotty match. It was very spotty, but it was a enjoyable spot fest. That was the one thing about it. And really good stuff. Really enjoyed it. 3.5 stars. Jack Evans picks up the victory after hitting the 630. Then the main event of the evening was Austin Aries versus Tyler Black for the ROH World Heavyweight Championship. And this was a very good match. Now, some people would say they might not like the way the booking was in this match. And obviously, the one thing I'll say that I wanted to see in this match now, even before I get into talking about this match, I'm going to give the outcome of this match. Now, Tyler Black, he didn't win the ROH World Heavyweight Championship, unfortunately. This match ended up in a 60-minute time limit draw. Very good 60-minute time limit draw. Now, that's the one thing I disliked about this match was, you did all this build-up, and, it was 1 year later, the match 1 year in the making, and Tyler Black still, he comes out not winning the ROH World Heavyweight Championship, which some people probably now are saying, Tyler Black, his time has left him. He's not really worthy of being ROH World Heavyweight Champion. But I thought, he definitely should have won the World Heavyweight Championship in this match. But what they didn't here, you saw, for about the first 30 to 35 minutes, you saw some great back and forth action. Then after that, you saw Austin Aries for a little bit keep on going back and forth, in and out of the ring, trying to go through the crowd, trying to get himself counted out, which some of the crowd was starting to get annoyed by. And I would say, he's supposed to be a huge heel. You're supposed to hate him, and that's the type of stuff he's supposed to do. And I think it sometime after a couple minutes of it, yeah, it did get a little annoying, but he's supposed to be a heel. That's what his job's supposed to do. You're supposed to hate him, and him doing something like that gives him good heel heat. Now, it's cheap heel heat, but still, it's heel heat nonetheless. And then I was expecting maybe this match, I was expecting, after about 40 minutes of this match, I was expecting maybe this match is going to go to like the last 2 to 3 minutes of the 60-minute time limit. Tyler Black might win the title there, but no, that didn't happen. It went to the 60-minute time limit draw. But a very good main event. A lot of good stuff between Aries and Tyler Black they did in this match. But, they did all that stuff with Austin Aries doing that. And Tyler Black, looking like he's going to win the World Heavyweight Championship. He took everything from Austin Aries. And, he didn't win the ROH World Heavyweight Championship. So that's like the only thing that's a little disappointing with this pay-per-view as far as an outcome of the match. But still, it was a great match. I would give the main event 4.5 stars. Some, like I said, might not like it as much as I did, but I, thought it was pretty good. You saw some great work between each other, a lot of good false finishes and stuff like that. And, I'm kind of a mark for, the time limit draws, and I love, the time limit draws. And they don't happen that often in wrestling nowadays. And, it's great to see it on, a pay-per-view from Ring of Honor now. Should it have been a decisive, finish to it and actually, either have Aries pin Tyler Black or Tyler Black actually win the title, sure, that would have been a little better, but still, it was a great main event. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed this pay-per-view overall. I would give this pay-per-view a 9.5 out of 10. Definitely, this is probably one of the best pay-per-views of the year. I like Supercard of Honor 4 a lot. That was a great Ring of Honor event. That was good. I liked the Dragon Gate Untouchable pay-per-view. I liked Wrestle Kingdom 3, and I would say this event from Ring of Honor Final Battle 2009 is probably about equal to those events, if not better, and it's definitely worth your $15. If you got $15 to spare and you want to give Ring of Honor a chance, this is a show for you to check out. So just Wanted to come on here and give my thoughts on the Ring of Honor Final Battle 2009 pay-per-view event. And yeah, that's it. Peace.